YouTube and my subscribers. Today I'll be doing a walkthrough of how to install a Millennium motor in your Traxxas Ford Raptor SVT. Now, tools you'll need is your wheel lug wrench, your 1.5 Allen wrench, 2.0, and your 2.5. Now, what you want to do is first take your wheel off by using this end of your wheel lug wrench. Then after you get your wheel off, take your 2.0 Allen wrench that looks like this. Then what you want to do is take your two gear cover screws loose. Remember that the small one goes on the bottom and the big one goes on top. Now, after you get this cover off, take your 2.5 Allen wrench, take these three screws loose on your spur gear. Then after you get them loose, take your 2.0 Allen wrench and simply pry up on the back of the spur. Make sure you're even with the screw hole. Then after you get to each end of the screw hole, you don't want to slide the Allen wrench in too far. Just enough, probably about like that much of the Allen wrench, somewhere around here. Then once you get this spur off, it should simply slide off with each time of being even with the screw holes. Then after you get this spur off, you can take your motor screws loose and they should pull through the motor. Then after you get the motor loose, take and disconnect your motor wires, or you can do that first. Then after you get them wires loose on your Titan motor, what you want to do is take your 1.5 Allen wrench and take your pinion off. This is a 19 pinion, so it will slide through. Then after you get that installed, make sure that the screw hole on the pinion is even with the little flat spot on the motor shaft. Now, after you get that screw in and just snug it down to where you can slide it around a little bit, take and install your motor screws. They have new ones that come with this motor. Now, after you get them pretty well, just snug them up a little bit. Make sure that your motor is in there like this, because you want the wires on top. Then after you get the motor in like that, just snug these screws up to where you can turn the motor a little bit away from the spur to set your mesh. Take the spur when you get it to put it back on. Take and make sure you're even with the three screw holes on your clutch, because you'll see it'll have like three like nipples sticking up off the clutch. And after you get it even with these three holes on your spur, just simply push it straight back down on. It should click, and After you get that in, you can put your screws back in. You can tighten these up all the way. And after you get them tight, take either you can do this by eye, or you can do it by using a piece of paper between your spur and the pinion, and just simply slide the motor against there, and into that paper it should push the paper into the spur. And make sure when you tighten these screws down a little bit more, take and turn the motor to take the paper out. Take a fresh piece of paper and slide it between the pinion and the spur, and just simply turn it. And if it doesn't bunch up, that means you've done a real good job of setting your mesh. And make sure you do it again the other way, because what this does, it allows you to set the mesh correctly. I recommend doing it that way. Then after you get the mesh set just right, tighten your screws down, and you should have a slight gap between the teeth. You don't want them tight all the way together, because you'll mess up the gears on the spur, because this is plastic. Now, after you get the mesh set real well, it should turn real smooth, and you should not hear any kind of binding or grinding. You'll just hear the motor turning. And after you get that installed, you can put your wheel back on. And, well, first you want to put this back on, your gear cover. And when it goes back on, it should look like this. When it goes back on, make sure that your screw holes are lined up. And then remember that the big screw goes on top here. Then after you get that screw in, you can screw in your little screw. And that's how you install a Valenian 3500 brushless motor waterproof into your Traxxas Ford Raptor SVT. Now, I got a spur gear tip of how to take the spur off to get to your motor screw, and also I'll have a video of how to put in the 23, or just do different combinations with the 19 pinion. I'll have videos of how that does. I won't do like putting the spur in or the pinion. I'll just do like running videos of how that does, and that should be it. Then also you can take your motor wires and slide them through the little hole that's on the shock tower. As you can see, there's a little hole, and you can see the VXL3F through that little hole. These should simply slide right through that hole, as you can see. Now, after you get them motors plugged in to the VXL3 wires, they're color coded, so when they go together, the yellow goes with the yellow, blue with blue, white with white, as you can see. And I recommend putting the zip strip on the wires after you get them connected to the VXL, and just simply push the wires down behind the VXL, and it keeps it from rubbing the shock. Comment, like, and subscribe. Tell me what you think. Got any questions, just ask, and I'll try to answer them. And we'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching.